And here we are again for the final recap of the season. And this is the men's NCAA Outdoor Championship recap. And what a meet! We had several NCAA records, all time best, as I said in the women's recap. And we had a lot of surprises, including a world record. Um, I did predict an NCAA record, a few of them. I said, "Oh, we're on world record watch." You just have to say that because it's the NCAA meet. But sure enough, it actually legitimately happened. And so, without further ado, let's just dive right into it. We'll get right into the shortest event on the track to the longest, and then we'll get into the field. So, we'll start right away with the men's 100 dash, and that goes to Kanyensola Ajayi of Auburn. I was kind of hoping he got a chance to break the NCAA record, but the wind did not cooperate. He does run a time of 9.72. This is one of the fastest 100-meter dashes we've ever seen in NCAA history. Just by the sheer volume of those who qualified to the 100-meter final, it just seems that gone are the days where 10-1 means anything anymore. You need to be 10-0 or better, and pretty soon it'll be you need to be sub 10 just to get into the final. This was an incredible field. His 9.72 was wind aided by barely 2.2. So we know in those legs that Mr. Ajayi is a 9.7 guy and probably our next big time sprinter. Is he going to be able to surpass Jordan Anthony? Is he going to be able to surpass Noah Lyles, Keishane Thompson? We'll see. But he's definitely in that group speed wise. Talent wise is a whole nother discussion. And so we look forward to having that discussion at that time. But heads off to him. And great job to Coach Harden and to Coach Burrell at Auburn. They have done a phenomenal job with their short sprinters. Both of them have a history. Burrell probably a little bit more so because he is an Olympic champion. So why not Auburn if you're a 100-meter guy? It's clearly working out well for Ajayi and the rest of the talent that's there. Now, moving to the 200, we have an NCAA record from Jaden Reed of LSU. Um, Jelani Watkins, of course, made the incredible poor decision of coasting a little too easy in the 200 meters semifinal and got caught at the line, very similar to Ajayi at the SEC championships. There are some speculating that he may have had a slight hamstring tug, that he was dealt with an injury, but I think the finals of the 4x1 and the 100, even though Arkansas wasn't able to finish the 4x1, but the 100 was a clear, obvious sign that don't think he was injured. I think he just made the mental lapse. But Jaden Reed, let's give you your flowers now. Enough of Jelani because you ran an excellent time. I didn't think we were going to see Walter Dick's NCAA record go. To be honest, I thought the record that was in danger was the 100. I thought the 200 was safe for another year. And Jaden Reed said, no, the 1963 me, please. And I'm the NCAA champion and record holder. Now back in the hands of LSU. Things are going very, very well on the men's side for LSU since Dennis Shaver has taken over with Benny Brazil as his men's sprints and hurdles coach. Because, I mean, they just have gone to an even higher level under Coach Brazil. And this is probably the best 200-meter sprinter they've had completely. Not just because he's been an NCAA record, he's the NCAA record holder, but they've had a great number of 200-meter runners over the years. Let's not forget, Nathaniel Blake Mitchell probably would have won the NCAA 200 had he not been injured. He was the only athlete in the field at that time, I believe, that ran sub 20. And gone are those days where sub 20 is just the champion. Now you need to be sub 19.9 and need to be able to run 19.8 or better. Um, in 1963 is now the NCAA title time. Moving on to the next event, which is the 400, you have Samuel Ogazi of Alabama. I didn't think he was going to lower his 43.8 any further than what he did, but he did 43.38. That makes him fourth all time in world history in the 400. He joins the likes of Wade Van Niekerk, Michael Johnson, and Butch Reynolds. Those are the only three gentlemen faster than him ever. And all three of those men our Olympic champions, Johnson and Van Niekerk individually, Reynolds, a silver medalist, but gold medalist in the relay and a world record holder, along with Michael Johnson. And Van Niekerk is the current 400-meter record holder. So that should tell you the type of talent that Samuel Ogazi has. And for Nigeria, this is a sign of their future, winning the both 100 and the 400. And the time in the 400 lets them know that Ogazi is very serious. He is the world leader. This is the fastest time that we've seen in a while. He surpasses the great Quincy Hall, who won the 2024 Olympics and who's had a rough time coming back from injury. But Ogazi looked incredible against a really strong field. Justin Brown of Florida got out, I think, a little too hard and paid for it in the last 100. But you can't ignore the super young freshman Jonathan Sims, who ran a 43.9. This is a very, very strong field that he beat very uh, succinctly. He was great in his 400-meter run, and I think his future looks very bright. Hats off to the coaching staff at Alabama, which had a pretty solid championship meet. Moving to the high hurdles, we have probably the greatest performance we've seen in NCAA history, a world record in the time of 12.75 from Jacoby Tharp of Auburn. He was my pick. And ironically, in the sprints right now, I am 3 for 4. Didn't pick that 200, but I did predict Jacoby Tharp not only winning the NCAA title, but I think we all knew that he was going to break Grant Holloway's record. But we didn't think he was going to break Aries Merritt's world record. 12.75, and he looked very comfortable in that preliminary or the semifinal race, and many of us thought he was going to lower it. But in the finals, he runs a 12.90 with Kendrick Smallwood, who is 5'7", a full inch shorter than me, still running a 12.95, a sub 13 110 hurdle. Kendrick Smallwood is the fastest short athlete ever. 12.95 is the elite class of high hurdlers. And 12.75 is now the world record. I don't know what's next for Jacoby in regards to college. I'm of the mindset you've defended your NCAA title, you've now broken a world record. I believe he is ready for the professional ranks. I think many of you think that as well. I was reading the comments on social media. It's very clear that many of us think the torch is officially being yanked from Grant Holloway, and Jacoby Tharp is now moving forward. I think Jacoby has to add a USATF title and a world medal to his trophy case for us to think that he can just surpass Grant. That we have to recognize the greatness that Grant Holloway is, as he's been probably the most consistent male high hurdler that we've seen since the great Terrence Trammell. And he did something that Terrence Trammell did not do, which was win the Olympic gold medal. Over to the 400 hurdles. This was an event that I also did not pick right, but I was happily wrong. Vance Nielsen, the superstar from the University of Florida, he was not an NCAA record, but a high school record holder in the low hurdles. And then things didn't go well his freshman year at the University of Florida. Some of that was him, some of that was the coaching staff. They came back, tried it again, and it has worked. Vance Nielsen, 48.06 in your first full season as a collegiate athlete and NCAA champion. It looked like Cody Blackwood of Texas was going to close in on him, but neither of them ran a particularly good last final hurdle. And for Cody Blackwood, he ends up falling. But Nielsen just runs the line and claims victory. 48.06, the only NCAA title this weekend for the men on the Gator side. Huge performance. Curious to see what his future looks like. Would have loved to have seen him in the 4x4, but unfortunately, as we know, Florida had an injury on the second leg and was not able to finish. I hate to say it, this has been an awful year for them, and my favorite event for the Gators was just the 4x4. Indoors, the anchor did not run well, cost them some placement, in outdoors, they were not able to finish for the first time in 18 years. So I think there will be some back to the drawing board, taking a look at what they have. But what they know they do have is a champion in Vance Nielsen. I think he does need another year of college, and I think he will stay. I think he is now on record watch. He is clearly going to chase that school record set by the great Karan Clement, and he's probably going to chase the NCAA record set by Rai Benjamin. I think he is a very talented young athlete. We knew that from high school, but here he is in college proving it. And think if he doesn't have a bad step on that final hurdler, he might be a sub 48 hurdler. So I'm already expecting a 47 400 hurdle performance from next season. Moving to the 4x1, we have Tennessee. I know you thought I was going to say Auburn, but no, Auburn has a mishap on the final leg. This was an interesting 4x1. Only five of the nine teams were able to finish. And Tennessee ended up being the champion. They're a sub 38 team now, 37.98. I think it is clearly fair and official to say in order to be the NCAA champion, you need to be able to run under 38 seconds. Let's also give Auburn its credit in the semifinals because they did break the NCAA and meet record in the semifinals, running a 37.75. So they have taken LSU's record from them. They took the meet record from LSU in Florida, which jointly had it. And now they are the all time leader. They just were not able to seal the deal and win the championship. But Tennessee was 37.98 and against a strong LSU team, which ran 38.06. Hats off to the Tennessee Volunteers um, and to Coach Ross, Dwayne Ross, who really put together the best quartet that he could because we had thought this of Tennessee early in the indoor season. Oh, they're going to just dominate the 4x1. And because how well Auburn ran this year, we forgot about Tennessee. And because Tennessee has dealt with injury and their athletes not showing up at big meets, but they put it together here to be NCAA champions at the right time. Now, moving on to the 4x4, we have Georgia. Yeah, I have to swallow that. I predicted LSU when I said LSU would have beat Georgia at the SEC meet, even if the Georgia athlete didn't drop that baton. It would have been up. I don't know because Jonathan Sims ran that 42.99 anchor. Yes, the freshman 42.99, almost at Michael Johnson type anchoring level, and you're only 19 or 18 years old. What? Who is this kid? Well, we know who he is. He was incredible in high school. He had, unfortunately, to deal with injuries for the last couple of years of high school, but he still was a top tier performer. And things have gone well for him in Georgia, given all the the flux that's happening at Georgia. They've had some noted sprinters that are leaving. One event that it's working well for them is the 400. And here they are with two freshmen on their relay, 2:57.9. I think Florida's NCAA record of 2:57.7 probably has a year left. And I think if Florida doesn't dive deep into that transfer portal and get a big name, I think they can forget it. Georgia probably will take it from them. And that's because Jonathan Sills will make sure of it. What a talented quartet they have, and what a talented anchor. Georgia was noticeably behind. LSU was just coasting to another sub 259 performance, and LSU also runs 257.96, but Georgia's 257.93, courtesy of Sims Anchor, is superior. Great time, great performance by Georgia. Now moving to the men's 800, Colin Salmon, yes, a guy that I predicted to win, and I said why. I said I think he has is going to have fresh legs. I also said that he was the stronger 800-meter runner indoors, and I think that's going to translate well, and it did. The last about 80 meters, he just surged past Tyrese Taylor and Rivaldo Marshall to win the 800 in 144.2, I believe. I know that many people wanted to see him run that 1500, but I honestly felt after what I saw indoors in the 800, I was like, this might actually be his best event. And now he has an NCAA title to add to his trophy case. And we've been waiting for him to have one. This was a highly touted recruit. He's still a top tier performer in any distance event he competes in. But I think he underestimated his value in the 800 indoors, and he sees it here now. He's a fully realized NCAA champion. Now you have something to add in your trophy case, and now it's all about just adding more. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Colin Solomon does as a distance runner because he is multi-talented. As I said, we've got a real star on our hand, and now that he has an NCAA title in his trophy case, the proverbial monkey is actually off his back. In the 1500, you have Simeon Birnbaum, and yes, I did stick as a homer and go with the Michigan guy, Trent McFarland, and he ran great. He was second here. But we hats off to Simeon Birnbaum, who ran a beautiful mile or 1500 rather on his home track and looked pretty comfortable doing it. It just seemed that he was in a class above Trent McFarland, winning by a second. He comfortably got across that finish line and celebrating in front of the home crowd, which was very happy to see him, one of the few NCAA champions this weekend from Oregon on their home track. Birnbaum is, I think, a star in waiting. I think we will be treated to another year of him. I don't think he's going pro. But if you're Oregon, you've got to be feeling pretty good with a good recruiting class, a great young core, and multiple events. This is going to be a tough team to beat next year. Moving to the steeplechase, we have the talented man from Louisville, Jeffrey Kerwa. I did predict him as well. I don't think anyone's really shocked. I think Kerwa is really kind of our star in the steeplechase. My hope is that he does stand of the year because I think he'll easily defend his title. After finishing second last year, I thought he would receive a little bit of a challenge from Nathan Mountain of Virginia, who did not really show up here at all. He was a finalist, but I believe he finished ninth or 10th, not really a threat. But Kerwa was pretty solid throughout the race and of course is now our NCAA champion in the steeplechase. And with the greatness that is Kerwa and their 10K runners, like it's clear that Louisville is becoming a very strong distance power. And it's weird that we're seeing them pop up more and more, and some of the old distance powers are retreating. Are we seeing a changing of the guard? You still have the Oregons, you still have Arkansas, you still have BYU, but we also need to add Oklahoma State, New Mexico, Iowa State, Louisville, North Carolina, Duke, Virginia. As you hear me say all this, and let's not forget Villanova. We're seeing this birth of strong competitive distance program where I don't think there's going to be just one dominant program. It'll be a collection. And whoever shows up the day of the championship will be the winner. And into this the event in particular, it was Jeffrey Kerwa. Moving on to the 5,000 and 10,000, Hampton Samuel pulled off the double. And I know that I picked him to win. I believe I picked him to win the 5, but lose the 10. He won both. Hats off to Jeffrey Kerwa, an NCAA champion doubler. And what is the hard to me the hardest double 5 and 10K? Yes, there's only one round for each, but it's an incredibly grueling race. And Hampton Samuel, I think, learned from indoor, and I think many of us still think he was robbed of a title, but jostling is jostling, and I think he learned. But I really do think Hampton Samuel is a future Olympian medalist. Do I think he'll be an Olympic gold medalist? We'll see. We will see. I think he is certainly a star, and I think he clearly has arrived. And I'm looking forward to seeing what New Mexico does with him in the fall if he does choose to stay in college. We'll see if he moves on to the professional ranks. I think he may actually be out of eligibility. If that is so, hats off to what is a great career from Hampton Samuel of New Mexico. We've been treated to some of the best distance doubles in recent years, but this to me is one of those rare special moments because it's such a hard double. And I see Hampton has one more year. So hopefully he comes back and we'll get treated to more of his amazing talent. Now, leaving the track and going to the field events, we're going to hop right into the high jump. And in the high jump, of course, it is super talented youngster Kamani Jack of Georgia. And I hate calling him a youngster because he's really not a youngster, but he performs very well for Georgia. I think he was the best individual athlete for them this weekend in the field events because they weren't able to see Jordan Davis in the javelin defend his title. But here we have a national champion in the high jump in Kamani Jack, 7 feet 5, just consistently performing at a high level this year. I think he learned a lot from indoors and outdoors. He was focused on just not losing, performing at his best when he could, and he has shown to have done that. Hats off to the Georgia staff for developing another champion. And of course, the field events, which has really helped them out in the team title race. The pole vault, Dyson Wicker. I did have him as the dark horse, so he was not my pick. And for the record, I did pick 13 of the 21 events correct. So one of my better years this year. 27 correct out of 42. So I will take that. But Dyson Wicker, a super youngster from Nebraska, he is a sophomore. He was the Big Ten champion, and here he is now the pole vault champion. I thought it was going to be the young athlete from Kansas. It was not. Dyson was not to be denied. Anthony Meacham did perform admirably, but Dyson's 19 feet 2 1/4 inches or 5.85 meters is not only the NCAA championship mark, but it is the current clubhouse leader. And Dyson is a sophomore, so we'll probably be seeing more from him in the future. Looking forward to it. Now, moving to the long jump, we have Mr. Chikomba. Let me make sure I pronounce his name correct. Tafadzwa Chikomba of Kansas State. And Kansas State, as I mentioned, the coaching staff that left Arkansas to coach the jumpers at Kansas State, they went 1-3 in the long jump, 16 points in the long jump alone. And Chikomba is a junior, and their third place finisher, Uroy Ryan, is a sophomore. So they're going to be devastatingly tough to beat next year because they have a great incoming group. I think Kansas State is solidifying themselves as the premier vertical jumps program. I'm sorry, horizontal jumps program. Am I saying that right? Vertical up and down, horizontal. Yeah, horizontal jumps program. Man, he's had a year. We know that his 28 feet jumps were wind aided, but some in one instance is barely wind aided, and he looked very comfortable jumping 27.5 and a half. I think we're looking at a future Olympic medalist, probably gold medalist, just by the sheer level of his performance. I think many of us know that, and we know it's coming because Chikomba looked great. Um, his teammate in the triple jump, Mr. Prabhu, uh, also of obviously Kansas State. Kansas State in the triple jump, that was a bit of a shock. And I know I shouldn't say this. I was just fully convinced that it was going to come down between Brandon Green of Oklahoma, the defending champion, and I thought Jonathan Sareems of Texas Tech was going to want to exact some revenge, and that didn't happen. Selva Prabhu of Kansas State jumped his best performance, 55 feet, 6 1/4 inches, 16.92 meters to win the triple jump, and didn't let up. Green finished second, or excuse me, third, and somebody new, a freshman, Kevin Kimboy of Oklahoma State, finished second. I think this event is getting ready to go through another rebirth. These marks over the next couple of years, I think, are about to get crazy. Long jump, we have the young freshman from the University of Florida. Triple jump, we have Kevin Kimboy, who went against him. Um, there's a lot of young talent that can perform at a high level already. And Prabhu himself is a sophomore, already capable of jumping 55 feet. It's about to be real interesting in triple jump. We're about to go back to the days of 56, 57 foot triple jumpers, and I am all the more excited for it. I love the triple jump. It is a great adventure to watch. I hope that I get to see Kansas State in person next season where I get to see these very talented jumpers. Moving to the throws event, we'll talk about the shot put and, of course, the young superstar Ben Smith, who won on his own campus. All eyes were on him because we had Tariq Robinson O'Hagan, who unfortunately got injured during practice. Here we are, a insanely good freshman who did not melt under the lights. In fact, he did his personal best, 69 feet and a half inch, 21.04 meters. It's also the best time collegiately this year. And that's including with, or excuse me, best mark rather. That's including with Tariq having thrown this year. I think of all the freshmen that threw this weekend, this is including Hinku Lamberts. I think it's very clear that Ben Smith kind of solidified himself as the guy. But both Ben Smith and his teammate Kobe Lawrence, who's a sophomore, who finished fourth, are going to lead the future of Oregon throws. They're going to be devastatingly tough to beat. The throws event, which had, I think, one senior in the top eight, a ton of freshmen and sophomores. Um, I think you're looking at the future of the event, and I would include in that group Jarno Van Dalen of Florida, the freshman who finished ninth, just outside the top eight for the Florida Gators. I think he's going to be in that group. We're probably going to see this entire group come back, and quite a few of them are going to improve these marks because they're at programs that have proven to do that over and over again. And Ben Smith is the class of that field. Moving to the discus, and this was an interesting result. I actually thought it would go differently. Um, Ralford Mullings, at one point I was concerned with my prediction because I did pick Ralford. Um, and it looked like Texas Tanner was going to take it over. I think it was maybe what the third throw. He kind of got right up under him or surpassed him. But Ralford did not seem phased. 215 feet 11 inches, 65.81 meters, not even a personal best in the season or seasonal best, and still was enough to win the national title. And I think the other big story is Jamaica in the discus. This has become one of their best throwing events. I think they have four athletes in the top six alone. That is a very positive sign. The runner up, Raquel Broderick of USC, finished second. And USC, very strong here. They finished second, third, and eighth. That, if you're adding, is 15 points in one event. And at a meet where points or premium, that is huge because the winning team scored 56 points, but you scoring 15 in one event, USC, I think, Oklahoma has the NCAA champion, but I think we need to look at USC as probably one of the best developers of discus throwers. And Raquel Broderick, who is a junior, comes back. He'll likely be the guy that we focus on for next season, along with his teammate, who's currently a freshman, Miko Lampinen. But we want to give our flowers to Ralford Mullings and to his native country of Jamaica, which had a strong showing in the discus. Moving to the hammer throw. And the men's hammer, we are kind of looking for a star. And I knew I was going to predict this event right. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. In fact, because I had to turn away from trying to watch live because I don't have an ESPN subscription, so I use someone else's. But Angelos Matsurenas of Minnesota by way of Greece wins the hammer throw. And when he threw his best mark of the meet, I just thought, well, that's it. I think he is the guy. There was a moment where I was sweating because Texas Tanner did show up and finish second, but I was convinced that Angelos Matsurenas was going to win this. I think we all recognize the great development that's going on at Minnesota with their throws, and he's certainly a product of that. Moving to the javelin, I got this right, and I'm sorry for the defending champion Jordan Davis of Georgia, but Chainchiram Prosper Namdi of Texas A&M launched a throw, 82 feet 26, 82 meters point 26 or 269 feet 10 inches. Not a personal best or a seasonal best. That's how good Mr. Chainchiram has been. This was huge for Texas A&M. He was a transfer, and it's kind of worked in his favor. He was at Baylor where he was a champion, and now he's at Texas A&M where he's a champion. And yes, he's a senior, so it's unfortunate we probably won't get to see him next year unless he does have a fifth option. But This was an event where I thought Georgia would show up better than they did. Jordan Davis, defending champion, finished fourth, and teammate Nick Reynolds finished fifth. So in just that event alone, they score 9 points, and Texas A&M gets 10 points just off one athlete. So hats off to Chang Chiram. That is a great. He looked great in his throw. And I was probably more impressed with the fact that that was not a personal best because it looked like a great throw. I was like, oh, this might be his best throw ever. And it clearly was not, but it was a great throw nonetheless. Now, moving to the decathlon, where things kind of got disappointing. The person I picked, Jip DeGrief of Illinois, was not able to finish and was not going well for him at all, though. He, I think, did okay in the 100 and in the long jump and in the shot put, but after that, things quickly started going downhill. I think the DQ in the 400 did not help him, obviously. Um, the performance in the high jump was a bit of surprise. I actually thought he would jump better. And, he unfortunately was not able to finish later on. And in fact, the other person who I thought had a challenge, Joshua Mooney, finished eighth. The only person who did well of my prediction was the super freshman Luke Pelkins of Illinois. He actually ended up finishing third, and he did hit a personal best performance, 8,079 points. But the winner, Ben Barton of BYU, 8,169 points. This was a collegiate lead and a personal best for him. He was able to win the 100. He was able to win the high jump. He was able to win the 400. He walked away with 3 event wins out of 10. He had another top 10 performance in the long jump where he finished third, one in the high hurdles where he finished third, and the javelin where he finished eighth, and the 1500 where he finished eighth. So as you were saying, he performed very well throughout the entire weekend. Very much a champion. Hats off to you, Ben Barton. Hats off to BYU. They've had a history of multi-event athletes, as we know. They've had NCAA champions. So Ben Barton, the latest person to add his name to their championship wall. Now, moving to the team title race where we had Arkansas. And this was a tough weekend for Arkansas simply because there was so much going on this weekend for Arkansas. Um, I mean, several things went wrong. The 200 went wrong. The 4x1, the first leg is injured and falls. Things didn't go well in the 800 the way they had planned. They planned to go 1-2, 18 points, and that's not how it went in the 800. They still, scored plenty of points in the 800. They scored 14, but 14 is not 18. They've had some things not go their way. But because they are a well-rounded program and they set all those entries, and I mentioned this in the women's video, those entries do matter. They were able to supplant what happened to them that did not go their way, and they were still able to win comfortably with 56 points. They won by 7 points, the same range that Georgia women won. The men's 4x4 dipped under 3 minutes, 2:59.87 to finish third. I think the coaching staff had to still be happy with the performance overall because they found a way to win it. Hats off to Arkansas on what is a fantastic season. All right, and that is the recap. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I know our next video will be us discussing development in certain programs, and the first one will be the hurdles video. I know that's coming. I keep saying it, but still working on that. And look forward to that discussion, as I'm sure that'll raise some eyebrows. But hope you enjoy this season. We've got a great fall. We've got a great summer coming up, too, because I don't think we're done here with some of these athletes. They're going to compete at the World Ultimate Championships. But thank you, as always, for your support, and I will see you in the next video.